Are you ready for thrills and excitement? Maybe a sprinkle of fear? Well, that's what you're getting today, because we're going to be exploring Liminal Land. Frightening videos and a fun website. This is going to be quite the ride we find ourselves in. If you don't know what Liminal Land is, I of course have the links in the description. Go check it out. But to give you an idea about what it's about, it obviously centers around a park that family and friends love to visit. However, there's a lingering darkness and mysterious deaths that leave people's faces disfigured with twisted smiles. There's even a big emphasis on wanting the guests to stay for a long time. Sounds fun, right? Anyways, let's begin, and we're better than with the first video. The title for this video is LVVT Channel 5 Sign Off 1988 Missing Persons. The video begins with the national anthem before showing us black and white images of people who went missing and a number that I assume people can call if they have any knowledge on the whereabouts of these missing people. To read off all the names of the missing people: Margaret, Frank, Angie, Sherry, Mark, Herman, Roger, Angela, and Lisa. A total of 9 people went missing, and towards the end of the video, after showing the last person, it remains on a black screen before cutting out. When we go to the description, we get a little bit more interesting information. For starters, the location seems to be in New Mexico, specifically the county Lake Valley, and all the missing cases can be connected to the number of incidents that took place within Liminal Land. We'll return to this later. The first video is fairly simple, but it piques a lot of people's interest, and it builds curiosity for what would happen next. And what happened next? Well, that's the company training tape. Visitor satisfaction specifically. The video opens with the logo Liminal Land home video. In this video, it welcomes the person this tape was intended for before showing us that this is a course 6 of orientation. And based on the title, you can probably guess that the tape will focus on visitor satisfaction. And according to the video, in order to ensure visitor satisfaction, the worker must identify the dissatisfied visitors first to help change their satisfaction levels. With that, we move on to a fun exercise in which we get shown images and we have to spot the dissatisfied visitors. We get shown an example of the exercise first and then we jump right into it. Honestly, it's kind of freaky. Look at these kids, they look evil. Anyways, I think it's this one. Ooh, I'm correct. We get shown more images that feel slightly disturbing to look at, and if I'm being honest, Ronnie doesn't look dissatisfied in my opinion. Looks like she's having the time of her life. Ah, more evil children. Again, like I said, these images are unsettling, and each time we spot the person, text appears on the screen saying, "This is the person." At some point during the exercise, the screen suddenly goes black before showing us text. The park is If I had to guess, I think I wanted to say the park is alive. Yikes. With that, we return back to the exercise with the final image, and it's a lot darker than the others. It appears like there's blood on the walls and objects with what I believe is people who are getting pressed far back. I don't know though. 2 circles appeared, revealing the unsatisfied visitors, and the exercise ends. As for instructions, the worker who spotted a dissatisfied visitor must make their day and suggest other park activities. With that, to get to course 7, you must inform your manager with the passcode RIGHT. This once connected to something in the website, but not anymore. And at the end, we see this. At Liminal Land, a happy visitor is a forever visitor. We'll return to this statement later. As for the description of the video, apparently someone or a group of people are discovering tapes from the park, and this one was found in the main office of Liminal Land. How fun! Next video. What exciting things will we see next? Investigation tapes. Liminal Land anomaly. Oh, how fun! We open with the New Mexico police case file 112182. What's the case about? Obviously the anomaly in the park, or the incidents that revolve around it. The anomaly apparently is an attraction within the park that the police were just made aware of, and it's believed that the ride is tied to facial deformity cases. These cases were noted by the Lake Valley Regional Hospital. And the thing about these cases, the visuals are too disturbing to show on television, so it was never broadcast to a general audience. Lucky for us, in this tape we'll get information on these cases. The first one gets shown is of a 42-year-old Rick Ackerman, and at the time of July 1988, he visited the park with his wife and 3 kids. Now you might be wondering, how did he ended up getting on the anomaly ride surrounded by his family? You see, he snuck away. How responsible. Now if you don't like seeing distorted faces, look away because we're going to see what he looks like after the ride. And here it is. Such a happy, creepy looking man. His cause of death is under investigation, so whatever happened, it's a mystery at the moment. The next case is of a woman named Lena. She's 44 and a teacher who brought her first grade class to the park of winter 1984. During the trip, the class went to the park's Paradise Playroom, which, you guessed it, something bad happened. Lena left the building through the rear exit, which the children didn't notice. She was gone for 8 hours and her body was found behind the anomaly in a patch of dirt. I'm going to show the image right now. And here she is. Just as smiley as Rick. The police refuse to elaborate on their findings on this case, which is suspicious. The next case is Maria, a 48-year-old, and she visited the park in November 1982. Allegedly, she rode the wheel before going towards the anomaly, but the anomaly was closed for repairs. This didn't seem to stop her, however, because a park employee spotted a woman by the ride controls. Why wasn't she stopped? Who knows? By the way, the reason why the ride was closed is because the ride kept running multiple times per session. On that day, it ran for 26 minutes non-stop. Maria, she doesn't look too good. I'm gonna show it right now. And here she is. Yikes. She was the first known death to the park due to the ride, and the investigation in all these cases are still ongoing. Obviously, this park isn't normal, but you could have guessed that without me telling you. But one question we all probably share is, why is this ride changing people? Or even how it's doing that, or what's its origin? And the only way to get more answers is by diving in deeper. To the next video. It's a found footage tape only meant to be viewed by HOME employees. But we, the viewers, don't care that we're not allowed to watch and we're watching it anyways. But is that a smart idea? It flashes quickly on the screen, but when we pause it, the video shows us this. Turns out these tapes are actually intended for the care and management team, and outside viewers will be terminated if caught watching or distributing these tapes. And if it's a park guest watching this, they'll face discipline with extreme prejudice. How frightening! It's a good thing I always enjoy danger. Let's continue. During the intro, we get another flashing image, and when we pause, we see what it is. Karen, employee course 092. Interesting. Now in the beginning, we actually get told what HOME stands for. Holistic, opportune, mutual, and experience. How interesting. And what is HOME's goal? To encompass the feeling of comfort and homeliness. Cater to guests' desires so they want to stay as long as possible. And they really want the guests to stay long. The video then glitches for a moment, and then we get told that HOME was strategically placed ahead of the park's entrance, probably because they wanted to be one of the first things the park guests notice when entering. And the video points out that HOME might seem small and far from the rest of the park, but there's more to HOME. Turns out it's underground and it's quite large in size. Much larger than the park. Much larger. The video glitches and says this. Training course 0921. Warning, do not attempt to explore or ascertain the true size of HOME's facility. Even we are entirely unsure of the true size and extent. Maybe HOME can go on infinitely. Like a never-ending pocket dimension that just stretches out forever. Who knows? We return back to the normal course, which tells the new employee to make sure everything is clean, and here we get to play another Spot the Image game. What we need to locate this time is inconveniences and messes. During the game, the video glitches with text that says, important, routinely and securely remove any and all doors, windows, and or thresholds that could potentially serve as an exit from home entertainment area. Yikes. We even see the word enough. Interesting. After this, we get shown footage of what happens when things are improper, such as anomalous occurrences. We get told to pay attention closely because we'll be seeing incidents that they don't want repeating in the future. Paired with the footage will be messages giving us more information on it, such as how to prevent it, what it's like, if it should be avoided, etc. Now we actually get to see the footage. Beginning in a tunnel before moving on to an indoor neighborhood with a market and what I believe is a post office. The person recording then started to film a home and even entered one. And this is when we get our first message, telling us not to follow strange noises and not to enter strangers' homes. But the person filming didn't get the memo and wandered into the home. The person walks through some doors in the home and there was a sign instructing for the door to be blocked. The next message we see tells us to never leave a passage unblocked. Curiosity will become regret. Yep, this is why I always die in video games. Anyways, the cameraman seems to have found themselves in an interesting location with doors that have lights peeking through, and a strange noise coming from within the room. Smartly, the cameraman didn't go into that sketchy looking room and ran. Good thing too, because there's instructions saying not to enter. Whoa, are we in the back rooms? Sorry. Anyways, the cameraman found themselves in a strange place. I guess not going into the room was smart, but that still didn't allow them to escape. Now they're running, hoping to find an exit, but are stuck. May never be true, you'll never be seen, may never be right, you're already dead. Yikes! The cameraman is running out of battery and it's dark. But they found some doors! Could this be an escape? No. Those who seek departure will lose themselves. We hope you learn from others' mistake. We hope you have a pleasant day, here at Liminal Land. What did we learn from this video? Home is an interesting place that can stretch out probably infinitely, or I'm just guessing, and this location can be quite dangerous because of that. Home can warp and change and you can possibly get lost forever within it, just like the person in the footage. But now I have a question. This place is clearly dangerous, and yet they want guests to stay for a long time despite the dangers? Why is that? Is there a greater reason why they want so many guests to stay within home? Maybe the guests are used as fuel for the park. Like having many guests gives the park energy to stay alive? To grow? Who knows? I'm just speculating. But now let's move on to the next video. Investigation tape. Mommy's friend. Alright. We get shown a case file that's its number, and we get told that the police in New York are investigating cases around Lake Valley. A tip they received pointed them towards the Munoz residence. That's where they discovered a 54-year-old woman named Sophia who lost her daughter in unknown circumstances. It's also noted that Sophia's acting erratic. We then get explained what happened. Sophia's daughter was last seen on 504 Dorado Street, and that she ran away from home at night while Sophia was sleeping, unaware of what her daughter was doing. The police believed her, but this raises the question, why did Sophia's daughter Angie run away in the first place? During the investigation, they found drawings from Angie telling a story. It's titled Mommy's Friend. Because of this, the police went back to get Sophia, but she was gone. She fled from her home. Now, what's Angie's story? It talks about her mother and how they went to Liminal Land. Land. But at some point, her mother made her sad. I believe they found themselves entering home and there's something happening to Mom. And apparently her mom wants to look for a friend. Follow me, it's okay. We then get shown a door and apparently that's where Mommy's friend's at. And the next drawing, interesting to say the least. Looks like a demon. This will be important later. The police now believe Sophia is responsible for her daughter's disappearance and she's a wanted woman. These are all the videos so far on Liminal Land's YouTube channel, but we're not finished. Remember, there's a website. And it is so fun to look at. When exploring the pages, we'll see that there's many interesting attractions in the park, which appear both fun and unsettling. Or maybe the unsettling thing is the people's faces. Honestly, both. There's a whole gallery of these fun images. Check it out, it's interesting. Also on the website, it talks more about Liminal Land Home. Here's some of its backstory. Built from the repurposed bones of Lake Valley Observatory employees' homing structure, the site once homed the facility Clean Energy's workers and their families, at the time creating one of the largest underground communities in existence. Upon its opening, Liminal Land aimed to celebrate the sense of community by transforming home's purpose away from employees and gearing towards park visitors, many of whom felt overwhelmingly comfortable while inside due to its illusory nature. To sum up, a facility once for employees, now for park guests. Oh, and Karen. I only mentioned this once and didn't explain what it is, but I believe Karen is a corporation responsible for all the things that happen within the park. They're the showrunners, basically. And it turns out Karen is the reason why the park wants its guests to stay for a long time. According to the website, it's to raise a profit, but honestly, I'm suspicious that there's more to this. Then again, it could just be greed coming into play. Now, another interesting thing about the website is the articles, posters, and letters found on the archives. I'm the type of person who gets overwhelmed easily when I have to read a lot of text, but I tried my best searching for what I believe is the most interesting information. There's a pamphlet which speaks about a place called the Halls of Walls. Based on the description, it reminds me of the place we saw in the found footage tape. It's apparently a large escape room where park guests can take the challenge and go in hopes to escape through an exit. Honestly, fun, but dangerous. I wouldn't be surprised if people starved to death if they ended up getting lost and couldn't get rescued by staff. Another thing found on the page is Subliminal Land, which is Liminal Land's water park. There's a Serenity Ward within the park, and apparently crowds will be less prevalent there. Those with autophobia, fear of being alone, are recommended not to go into the Serenity Ward. Speaking of Subliminal Land, there's another piece of information about the land's history that connects to the park. Now, as you know, the park wasn't always a park. Apparently, it was a power plant. At the time, there was a clean energy initiative in Lake Valley with an estimated 7,000 employees, and this was before Liminal Land came to be. The site had a hub, but that changed to become Subliminal Land's final floor. Honestly, a power plant turned amusement park is, such an interesting and strange thing to happen. Maybe a little dangerous, but who knows. Another interesting thing I found is text mentioning a ride, the laugh track, which an incident was hidden from the public eye. I also found a letter from Jackson Franklin complaining about someone named Dr. S. Dr. S apparently only cares about money and is the reason why many of the units are being sold to people who are planning to stay permanently. Another complaint is about home itself. Other things I found in the archive is advertisements about home and promotions about Liminal Land. I'll stop there and move on to the next thing found in the website. There's a guest area that needs a code. I sadly couldn't figure it out. But in the past, its code was once rite of passage, and I had to look it up on a YouTube video to see what was hidden. Turns out it's an interesting looking image. Reminds me of the kids drawing. I had to look this up and I believe this is Moloch, a god associated with child sacrifices. Yikes. Now I'm starting to understand why this place is an amusement park. Kids will willingly swarm the location, making it easier to snatch them up. And this is a guess, but maybe those responsible for the park's operation did a deal with the deity for some type of benefit, or they just worship the deity and follow their orders, because based on the missing posters, there seems to be a lot of missing children, so this deity has to be involved, right? I'll stop there. To sum up everything as simply as I can, once a power plant now turned into an amusement park, there's unusual attractions, and an underground location where guests can make their home within Liminal Land. People are going missing and those who died are found disfigured. New employees of the park must watch tapes with courses that teach them what to do as park employees. And the website itself gives additional insight on the park and Karen, which is a corporation responsible for the park and could potentially have ties to a god associated with child sacrifices. Maybe the park's being used as a farm or something. Park guests are staying, they're making families, those kids will get snatched up, the cycle repeats. It's like a farm. Ooh, who knows? I'm just guessing. And this is everything so far in my guesses. We asked a lot of questions, got some answers, but had to make a lot of assumptions too. The deaths with disfigured faces could be pinned on attractions in the park because clearly there's something wrong with them. The ride called Laugh Track provokes laughter, so if a ride can force people to do these things, it's not too far-fetched to assume it can change appearances too. And these incidents tend to happen when the ride mount functions, I believe. So when a ride isn't operating correctly, that's when things can get dangerous. As for all the missing children, we can just pin it on the deity Moloch for now and assume most of these sacrifices are for that thing. Speaking of deities, if deities are truly involved within the park, that could also explain why the park is so anomalous. The deity provides the means for all the strange things within the park because there's no way it's possible for ordinary people to make the park the way it is. Gotta be some god, some monster, some weird magical thing involved. But I could be wrong because when researching, I try to be thorough, but there could always be information that I miss which could debunk my ideas. Or I could have interpreted something wrong. Whatever the case is, whatever ideas you have on what's going on, please tell me in the comments and correct me if I did say something wrong. Now, this is Liminal Land. Link in the description as always. I better not catch you dying on me. Have a good day and goodbye. Woo!